Hello and good morning. How are you doing, Lottie?
I'm very well. How are you?
Absolutely fantastic. We got to start right here with the ginger and rhubarb pudding. I'm from Montana. Rhubarb grows wild. It is in my soul forever.
It's one of my favorite things to cook with. It really is. It's like, it's so funny. It's related to celery, and celery is rubbish, but rhubarb is just God's gift. I love it.
One of the things that teases me about rhubarb is, first of all, I love eating it raw because I like making those evil faces when you're sitting there going, oh my God. But then when you put it inside a dessert, it takes on a whole new texture and flavor.
Yeah, it's amazing. It is very versatile, and I just love the tartness that it brings. There's often recipes that are just a little touch too sweet. You throw in some rhubarb, and you're good to go.
I got to tell you, my wife and I are really deeply addicted to the Great British Bake Off. We have been with this show since it was introduced to Americans, and I'm telling you, there's something very raw about this show that makes us keep coming back. And then you were part of this journey.
I was indeed. Yeah. A couple of years ago, I was in that tent.
That tent is like one of the personalities of the show. My God. I mean, the way that you guys are able to bring that artwork in a tent. How did you guys keep it all together?
I mean, I didn't keep it all together. Did you see the show? I think it's tricky. Like, you're under time restraints. You've got the heat inside the tent. You've got judges looking at you. You've got 4 cameras on you at all times. And you're just there trying to remember what the recipe was that you wrote a month ago. It's tricky. I'm not going to lie to you, but it's very good fun.
Was it your idea inside Baking Imperfect it's so interactive in the way that when I'm sitting here looking at recipes, you show me step-by-step pictures of what it should look like. I like that honesty from a chef.
Yeah, I think that's really important for me. I wanted this book to be good for beginners, to feel like accessible to people who may feel nervous about baking and scared to give it a go because we see so many perfect bakes on Instagram and all over the place. This is about just reminding you that I taught myself to bake through trial and error, and I've failed a number of times, and the step-by-step instructions are there to show you that where I mess up, it would have helped me to have a book like this that gave step-by-step instructions occasionally. So that's what I wanted to bring in the book.
You've released this book at such a great time because we're headed into the holiday season where families will gather inside the kitchen. And this entire book here is full of so many great family ideas.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that for me, baking was all about for family and friends and feeding them with flavor, big flavor and kind of just showing love through baking. It sounds like I'm not a big person with hugs. I'm not big at the physical contacting. I show my love specifically through baking and feeding my friends and family. So this is the perfect time to kind of get involved, get everyone in the kitchen and enjoy the process, get messy, get the kids involved, like they love it. They love just being told to stir something. That's like their best thing. It's like magic in front of their eyes. They get to stir something and then they get cookies. Like It's magic. They want to be a part of it. So yeah, definitely the right time of year to get the family involved in the kitchen.
I got to tell you that I really got deeply involved with the kitchen during the lockdown, and the one thing that I love more than anything is to make soup. I mean, I came home from a 4-hour lecture last night, and I made soup late at night because there's just something about being in that kitchen. It's almost like you're speaking to the gods of how we're going to be nurtured for the next day.
Yeah, no, I get that. It's very peaceful in there at a time when, you can have lots of stuff going on in your head. You get in the kitchen and you've got to focus on that one thing in front of you. So it's definitely really good for kind of mental health and feeling kind of just focused and calm, unless you put yourself on TV and get an attention, then it's not very calm at all. But
So when things don't work out, are you like me? You just add more spices?
I think that when things don't work out, I look at what I've done and I try and learn from my mistakes. Adding spices is definitely a way to go for savory cooking. I think with baking, you have to just stick to the few basic rules, which I outline in the book. There's those things that don't change, like the ratios of butter to sugar or, like the rising agent. You shouldn't mess with those. But when it comes to flavor, I'm encouraging you to go as wild as you like. So, each to their own with the spice.
I love the self-description, a perpetual frustrated perfectionist. I mean, it's like I want to know how many people in their homes are going, oh my God, Lottie, she's my neighbor. I love this girl. I gotta have it.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like when I was definitely a perpetually frustrated perfectionist is how I described myself before the show. And the process itself of the show taught me how to fail and how to laugh at that process. And once I'd embraced that, like, okay, so perfect isn't what we're striving for. We're just striving to learn and have a laugh and enjoy the process itself. As long as you turn out something that tastes good, I wasn't too bothered about what it looked like. And that was a really big turning point for me. And then that's how the book was born, really.
You know, the subtitle of the book, first of all, the name of the book is Baking Imperfect, but the subtitle really is so relatable. Crush, whip, spread it like nobody's watching. Because when I'm in the kitchen, I don't like people watching me. So I don't know how you even survived the life in that tent. But when you're in the kitchen at home, I mean, it's like look, I'm doing something. I'll create it when I'm done.
Yeah, exactly that. And that time for yourself is so important. Mm-hmm. And it's so amazing that at the end of that time that you've had this great kind of time that you spent with yourself, and that really important time, you then get something at the end of it that tastes really great as well. And then you can share that with other people, and it's full of the love and the time that you put into it. It's like the perfect combination of things.
What kind of music do you listen to when you're in the kitchen? Because my kitchen, they're just in the other room, very close by. I have doves, and so the doves are endlessly singing while I'm cooking. What are you listening to?
Wow, I'll be honest. I'm listening to quite heavy metal normally because that is my calm place. I just love like the noise of heavy metal, and I've always been a metal fan. So baking to me, that means I have the kitchen to myself. I live with like a pretty large family. I live with my aunt, my uncle, my 2 cousins, my cat. So when I get time to myself in the kitchen, I just put those headphones in, get the metal on, and I'm in the zone. Like I'm in my happy place.
Are we talking Judas Priest? I've been with Judas Priest. I would love to share your story if you're listening to them.
I mean, Judas Priest. Listen, the old stuff, sure. Like I get on board with all of that stuff, but I listen to more like Scandinavian, nice. Maybe Nordic kind of metal. So on the show, they picked up on it. They called it Viking metal, and suddenly there was a whole genre of Viking metal that no one had ever heard of, and people were listening, reaching out to me and saying, "What is Viking metal?" I was like, "Guys, I don't know. They've called it this. I wouldn't have called it that. That's what the show called it." So yeah, I'm into just kind of dreamy, maybe a bit with a Celt influence potentially. Just get some guitars in there. Anything with a decent melody, like with a good bass as well, I'm in.
Oh my God, Howard Stern, 2 of his people on his team just talked about Viking metal and they must have spent 20 minutes just talking about it and trying to describe it to people. Yeah. And so with you saying Viking metal, I'm going, oh my God, they just talked about this on Stern.
Yeah, well, there you go. It's a thing. I think there's like one playlist on Spotify called Viking Metal that I've been listening to for about 5 years. I have no idea who made it, but I've never found another one. So it is obviously a thing. Wow. But yeah, that's my music. That's my happy place.
Wow. So what would give you the idea? Well, it must be Viking Metal that gave you this idea. Blackberry and white chocolate. Those are 2 flavors I would have never thought that could come together.
Yeah, it works well. The white chocolate, obviously very sweet, and the blackberries, you get this real tartness. And I think there's something about kind of like foraged fruit that always works well in a muffin. It's the hedgerows. I don't know if you guys have like blackberries growing in hedgerows over here, but at home, it's definitely a season. It's around kind of this time, September time. You could go out, you'd forage, and you'd find the blackberries. You'd bring them home, and then this is just an opportunity to make it into what you could then say is, a breakfast snack, turn it into a muffin. It works really well, not too sweet and not too sour.
This book, listeners have to understand, it is such a nice, warm book. It's and with the pictures and stuff like that, it's almost like you can smell the food. And one of the things that I got to give you a compliment on is that everybody they'll grab a grapefruit, they'll eat it, fresh out of the skin, or they'll get it out of a little jar and stuff. But you've actually made grapefruit puffs here, and it's got caramel mixed in with it. My God! And you say it's a bitter, nice little flavor to it.
Yeah, that's a great breakfast one, actually. Like, it turned out, again, I'm looking for the sweet and the sour. I don't want anything to be too sweet, but grapefruit's not for everyone. And I've said these to kids, and they still ate them. Like, kids eating grapefruit, it's got to taste pretty good for that to happen. And that's with a shop-bought pastry as well. It's so quick to do, and you can turn those out for breakfast in like 10 minutes.
Are you going to get your own cooking show?
Oh, wouldn't that be the dream?
I think it would be the dream for a lot of people. Oh my God! You bring a passion, you bring laughter, you bring so much to that screen and stuff like that.
Well, thank you. I mean, I'm over here. There are a couple of meetings. Never say never. Let's see what we can do.
Absolutely. What's the website where people can go and find out more about you as well as grow with everything that you're doing?
So if you want to follow me on socials, on Instagram, it's at Lottie Got Cake. And then for the book, you just look in Amazon is your best bet, but also Barnes & Noble are stocking it as well over here.
Are you doing merchandise as well? Because you know darn good and well, I would sport a Lottie t-shirt in a heartbeat.
It's funny you should say that. I have a team of people. We are working on that, and we're hoping to get it ready in time for Christmas.
See, you are going to be on streaming TV. I just know you're going to be there, Lottie. We need you.
Thank you so much.
Well, please come back to this show anytime in the future. The door is always going to be open for you.
Thank you. I will do. Thank you.
Well, you be brilliant, okay?
Okay.